question is whether or not you're being your mind, whether or not you're identifying with it and it's giving you the life you lead, so that the life you lead is a life of thinking, a life that's preoccupied with being a body and a person and thinking, listening to a narrative, listening to a story about life that constantly interprets what's going on and leaves you in a very limited world of thoughts and feelings, memories, imaginary realities, fantasies. The thing about it is that when you come to the recognition of who you are, and when I say recognition, I mean that you actually look and see, because and when you have a recognition of who you are, it's happening in the moment. It's happening now. Right now, as you sit here, the reality of yourself is here, right now. Reality is here, right now. And so, to recognize it, to notice it, you have to look not at what you think, but you have to look at consciousness. You have to look at awareness. And you have to recognize that you're seeing consciousness. This is the thing about it that is so tricky in a sense, right? That right now you are seeing yourself. Right now you are seeing consciousness. You are seeing awareness. You can't see it if you are looking at it as something that you're thinking about. You can't see it if you're looking at it as something that you expect to have a form. You can't see it if you are looking at it and you expect it to be something different than what you're always seeing, because what you're always seeing is a habitual interpretation of what's here, rather than a recognition of this is consciousness, that which appears before you, that which appears as the field of awareness is consciousness, and it is possible to notice that it is all there is. To just notice that it is all there is, that there's nothing else happening here but this. There's nothing else happening but this, and there never is anything else happening but this. And this is not a divided experience in which there's thoughts about it, feelings about it, understandings about it. It is possible to notice that this is it, that this that is happening right now is all there is. It's this. This is what non-duality is, right? This is it. Non-duality is that it's this, just this. It's one thing. It is possible to see this. And when you see this, the seeing of it is being seen by this. This is seeing this. This is seeing this. Awareness is seeing itself. Consciousness is recognizing itself. This is possible at any moment in time. It's always here. This is always here. And what happens is that we are in some idea about it that has it occur to us to appear as there's an out there and there's an in here, and when I look out there, there's people, there's separations, there's things, people, places, and things, right? And then in here, there's thoughts, emotions. I hear things, I smell things. This is the way we're oriented, right? But it is possible to look and see this. Not the thoughts, not the feelings, not all of the things that appear to be separate and divided, but this, that when you go to talk about it, thinking is a dualistic process, right? And so when you go to talk about it and you say, well, thinking is happening within this, it's a part of this. Well, now you have two things, at least two things, thinking and awareness, right? Which refers back to what I was saying before, that yes, of course, this is the way it's being processed by your brain. That's why that's why you say what you say. Understandable, right? That you should say it the way you say it, because this is the way your brain is processing it. And when you attempt to understand it, the brain processes it in a way where you say, well, yeah, it's only one thing. Now watch the way the brain does this. It's only one thing, but that includes the thoughts that are occurring within it. See, but now you just separated it. The brain will separate it. The brain will separate it. Now, having said that, of course you have to go back to the dream to function in the world. You know what I mean? You have to know the difference between where you're sitting now on the door to get to the door. You can't operate in this that I'm referring to, right? Right? But you can know the reality. You can notice it. You can notice what you are. You can notice awareness. You can notice consciousness. This is clearly possible. It's clearly possible. I say that from my own experience. But the possibility that it is will only manifest itself if you simply look. It's not even a matter of trying to see it. You see what I'm saying? Because you can't try and see it, it's just a matter of noticing the way it already is. All there is this. All there is consciousness. All there is the self. All there is the awareness itself, and the awareness itself appears as 10,000 things. It appears as 10,000 things, but you can see that there is only this. You can see the non-duality of it, that it's all interconnected. There's nothing here separate from anything else. If you look at your actual perceptual field, you can see, if you look around, there's nothing here that's separate from everything else. It's all connected to everything else, isn't it? You're connected to this. The chair is connected to this. Everything's connected to this, right? It's this. It's all connected to this. Nothing is separate from this. And the importance of seeing that is that when you see that, you see things as they are. You see that ultimately this that you're seeing is yourself. Because if all there is this, where are you? You see? If all there is this, where are you? If you exist and all there is this, then you're this. You're this. But you're not this in terms of the way it appears. You're this in terms of noticing the reality of it, noticing that this is consciousness and you are consciousness. And when you see consciousness, it's consciousness seeing itself. Well, so what's the point, right? Well, the point is that provides you an experience of freedom from the dream, freedom from the appearance that you are separate from the world. Freedom from the appearance that there are 10,000 things, that there's a world out there, right? And there's evil, and there's threatening realities, and I'm a body, and all of that, right? All of the drama, all of the story, right, is experienced to be nothing but this. I heard a teacher the other day say, this is great, because I tried to get this point across here before. I said, when you have this experience, when you see things as they are, right, and you experience the freedom of it and all that jazz, you still have to come back in the world and operate in the world. And almost everybody in the world believes that the dream is the truth. Everybody in the world believes what they think is happening, right? And you have to operate with that. You have to operate, you have to go along with that in order to be in the world. And that's the challenge, you see, because when you go along with that, since your brain is conditioned that way, and then you're dealing with going along with that, can you see the difficulty of staying clear about what's going on? And the way this teacher talked about it is he said, it's like getting sober. It's like being an alcoholic, being a drunk, and getting sober, but you have to live your life in a bar. That's a good analogy of how it is, right? Have to live your life in a bar. So what happens is your habits, your tendencies, right, to be addicted to certain ways of thinking, to be addicted to certain patterns of behavior, right? That's like the alcoholic's addiction to drinking, right? And so you walk out of here and you get back there, you get back in the appearance of 10,000 things, and you're driving your car and your brain starts to operate in relationship to what appears to be happening, and somebody pulls in front of you, and before you know it, you're immediately lost back into being a person in a car, in the world, with careless people in front of you, right? And that starts to play. And when it starts to play, especially in the beginning, when it starts to play, even though you've seen things as they actually are, in the beginning when it starts to play, you usually wake up after it's been running, and you realize, oh shit, well, I was back into this idea, and I was getting angry, and I was causing myself suffering because the person that cut me off, it's not suffering from my anger, I am. You could say at night when you're dreaming, it's just a dream, right? But not for you when you're dreaming it. When you're dreaming it, it's real. When you wake up and see it as a dream, it's a dream. And when you wake up and see it as a dream, then you know, oh, it was never real, it was always a dream. This is the same way when you wake up and see things as they are, as far as consciousness is concerned. That's true. It never was real, right? But even though it never was real, when you go back to sleep the next night and you start dreaming again, you don't remember that you dreamt last night and that wasn't real, and you're dreaming tonight, so this isn't real either. You go back into believing it's happening again. That's the same kind of thing that happens with this. But the thing that's very important and that I try and emphasize the most is that you have to really look and see for yourself. You have to really recognize what you're looking at. You have to really recognize who you are. It's okay to have it be a conceptual understanding, right? But that's not strong enough to hold up when you're faced with the illusion. It's not strong enough to hold up when you're pulled back into the state of mind, when you're pulled back into the emotional reactions. When you have a direct perception of it, when you actually see it, when you actually experience the truth, there's a conviction about it. You understand? There's a conviction. You know it. It's not just a concept. You know it, and you know what it's offering. You know the difference it makes. You understand the implications of not being aware of being aware. You understand the implications. The implications are very profound. They're very profound. I mean, what we're talking about here, and I hesitate to bring this up because it's one of those things that in the state that people normally live in, it sounds unreal. But the reality of it is, one of the implications of waking up and realizing the truth is you don't have to die. What could be more profound than that experience and that realization that you don't die? Yeah.
So say when you are in a car and you understand who you are and you react, And when you realize you reacted and you go back and put it in, I say put it in perspective, right? No, but does that mean you're on the right path if you do that?
Of course.
But it's not like you're never going to feel that.
Well, no, it is that the time can come when that doesn't happen. But it's a process that is founded on the conviction that you know the difference. It's got to be a conviction that you know the difference, not just a good idea. That won't hold up. That won't be strong enough. Look at faith. Faith, faith in religion, right? You got to have faith, right? Look how that's working out. Is faith working for people? No. But this doesn't involve just faith. This involves the possibility of a conviction of it, the actual recognition of the truth, seeing it, being it, and seeing it, and then living it. And when you are living it after being it and seeing it, a gradual process will occur in which you now, because you have to understand that the majority of human beings who find themselves in that situation, driving a car when they react, that's all there is. And for them it's real. That person did cut me off, and that is bugging me, and it is upsetting me. And not only that, but the dog shit on my rug when I got home. I got bills in the mail that I can't pay. My wife's got an attitude. My kids are acting up. I have a headache. I'm constipated. I can't sleep. You get the picture? That's a real world that people are living in, and they don't know there's any other possibility. So when you see this, and you recognize it, and you have a conviction that there is this other possibility of freedom, then when you find yourself in that situation, as you said, you can stop and say, oh, I just went unconscious. I just went into this idea of myself that I'm this body, this all is real, that person really did that, and I created suffering for myself. Every time you see that, what happens gradually is you get closer and closer to catching yourself in the actual happening of it. In the beginning, it's after the fact. In the beginning, it's later you look back and you say, oh, wow, I was lost. And then it happens again. And you realize what happened sooner than you did before, and sooner, until it comes to the point where it's about to happen, and you see the thoughts rising. You see it about to happen, and you withdraw your attention from it, and it doesn't happen. And then after that, it doesn't happen. Then after that, somebody can cut you off, and you smile. You just smile. You smile because I remember there was a time when this would really be upsetting to me. I'll tell you, in my own life, I can look back and see, because of the conviction that I have of this and the experience of this, which, by the way, is not something that's going to last all the time. These teachers, these people who are considered to be awakened, right, enlightened people, they're not living in an enlightened reality all the time. That doesn't work. You have to be in the world, right? But they know the difference. That's the difference. They know the difference. And you can get to a place where you can look back on your life, I can tell you from my own experience, and remember the times when most of the day I was upset. Isn't that the case for most people? To some degree, most of the day you're upset, whether it's the weather, whether it's the kids, whether it's money, whether it's, all the shit that goes on in people's lives that they're coping with. And you can really get to a place where you're not coping anymore. You're not coping anymore. And most of your day is not upset. That's the misperception we have. Even he. It's not even he. You're the same as he is. In reality, you're the same as he is. I heard somebody interviewing Adi Shanti the other day, who's a pretty well-known teacher. And he said to him, well, do you get angry? And this guy has been teaching for like 30 years, been teaching spiritual awareness for about 30 years. He's considered a pretty famous teacher. And he said, I normally can't use the computer without getting pissed off, because it doesn't do things that I need it to do, and I don't know how to work it, and I have to call my wife. So what is he saying by saying that? He's saying, I'm just like you. I have a brain, there's conditioning there, right? I'm just like you. But when I say I'm just like you, I mean I'm just like you in terms of we are both in reality awareness itself. And I'm also just like you in terms of we both have a brain that's been conditioned. Right? But the difference between that and the way most people are is the just like you is only the conditioned brain. And that results in a life that is not a pretty picture. And and the way most of humanity deals with that is they put up with it. They put up with it. They look forward to something in the future. They play this mind game. That things will be better later in the week. Things will be better later in the year. Things will be better next decade. Things will be better tomorrow. Things were better yesterday. But right now what's happening is never it. It's never it. So the thing that I think is most important that I want to get across is don't worry about, let go of the idea that you have to have this incredible enlightenment experience, and unless you have that you're not there. No, you're there. You're there right now, and you don't have to have that. Some people have that, but other people don't have that. Other people experience a very gradual coming into the truth, a very gradual process of coming into the truth. It's not fireworks. It's not. So you have to let go of this idea that you have about what this is. Because ultimately what this is what's happening right now in your chair is what this is. You are right now the consciousness itself. You are right now awareness itself. And it is possible to look at your field of experience and recognize that that's true. And the more you try and be what you already are, right? This is important. The more you try and be what you already are, the more you try and experience it through understanding, the more you try and experience it through concepts and so forth, the more you think that you're going to get there someday, the more you think if you practice something enough, you're going to get there. None of that has any use at all. Simply because it's already the case. That's all. It's already the case.